Welcome to my channel Behind the Glam. I'm Yvonne. This is my behind the scenes channel for my fashion history channel, Vintage Glam. And today I wanted to talk about Antonio Lopez. I just dropped an episode for him on my main channel, but there were a ton of things I didn't get to talk about and I was hoping to cover today. Even though I knew some of his earlier work and I was familiar with Antonio's girls, I found a whole body of work during his later years that I've just become obsessed with. So hopefully we could talk a little bit about that. For those of you that don't know who Antonio was, he was the premier fashion illustrator during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He worked with his partner Juan Eugene Ramos under the shared name Antonio. So they both created this large body of work. They were the yin to each other's yang. Antonio was more vibrant and outgoing, where Juan was the more intellectual one who would color the drawings after Antonio finished them. Look how beautifully these are rendered. This one is for Sports Girl Australia in 1979, and they're a pair of fashion clowns, but there's so much detailing inside. It's just pen, ink, and paper. She's got a compact, she's got a perfume, there are gloves, there's a corset, there's a cape, there's layers of ruching, of folds, of clothing gathering. You get the sense of how light this is, this fabric, with all the detailing, the heel of the shoe. There's a tiny cat down here with a feather who's got a hat over his head and boxes of different accessories and hats. It's just wonderful. Here's another one of my favorite series that Antonio did, and it's these women emerging from these candy bars. And right here you can see a Grace Jones emerging from an Almond Joy. And the reason I have the pink is because I'm covering their tops, because YouTube doesn't allow nudity. So I had to cover it on both ends. And so that's the reason I haven't included it in my main episode, but these are rad. Here's Virginia coming out of a Milky Way, Sugar Babies. Look at this. How incredible are these? They're so surreal, with the foil draping behind them. Here's some tiny Instamatics that he did, but she's coming out of an Almond Joy for Louis magazine. Yeah, he called this the Candy Bar Girl series. This is Virginia Shattuck coming out of Photo magazine right here. Yeah, this is one of his famous pictures, but again, I didn't include them in my main episodes just because of how R-rated they are, but I love them. They're sensual, they're surreal, they're evocative. They're everything I love about Antonio's work. And so here, what I really love are these pictures of Mick Jagger. This is the Mick Jagger I know, and this is the Mick Jagger Antonio knew. You know, someone who was sneering, someone who may have been in distress, someone who's a deep thinker, you know, someone who's contemplating something, or something's puzzling him deeply. I feel like he got to see a side of him we never do as the public. And these are just rendered. They look like he rendered them pretty quick, but what he managed to capture was, you know, the person behind, you know, the front man of a band. Unfortunately, Antonio only lived to be 44 years old, but he did create a dazzling body of work that I've only scratched the surface on. If you like more content like this, please like and subscribe, and meet me back here in 2 weeks. Thank you.